Hey, youth pastor, 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 youth pastor Rob here, and hey, youth pastor Rob here once again. And today I thought I would make a video on my testimony. As a pastor, I can tend to tell the teens and even the adult congregation when I speak there that your testimony is the most important thing in evangelizing. It can be the most powerful tool that God can use to reach someone. But that doesn't always mean that you know exactly what to do with the testimony. It doesn't mean that you know what to include, what not to include. So there's a lot that can go into that. And for me, especially, my blessing is growing up and being around Word of Life. I was not a Word of Life like staff kid or anything like that. I got involved in high school in youth group, and then was able to go there as a BI student in New York. And that really, that experience helped me because Word of Life really made sure that you knew what your testimony was like, how to share it, and how to share it effectively. So I want to share some of my testimony with you so that you can then take that and understand, okay, so here's some main points, and this is what I should have in my testimony. Maybe there's things that you would see that are similar to your story. Maybe you see things that you would say, okay, so that's interesting. Maybe I would share it a little differently, or maybe I'll hit this, something like that. So without further ado, I was born at a very young age, and that right there, if you are sharing your testimony, it's kind of fun to kind of start off with a joke. So if you want to use that one, use it. But so I was born into a family that regularly attended church. My mother made it a very big point for us to be in church, whether that would be midweek, that was Sunday morning, that was Sunday night. Sometimes I grew up in a smaller country church, so we still had finger food fellowship and Sunday night service. But as I was growing up, my parents had struggles, and my father was not really there. It ended up, my father was not the greatest, and my parents ended up in a divorce. So around 8 to 10 years of age, here I am now, the kid of two divorced people and in the church. And my mom did amazing. She was faithful to the Lord to keep me and my brother in the church and in the programs and connected, and even got us afterwards even more connected to the community and with the church and the different programs that were available, as well as then some camps. So we went to a family camp together a couple of times, and we were able to grow through that and see God use that. But the big mainstay is that in 6th grade, I got moved up into the youth group at the church, and that got me into the Word of Life program. And Word of Life has been used greatly by God throughout my life. I would say early on, in 6th grade on, I was very much like, okay, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to be, I had really high standards for myself. And as I went through high school, I never got into drugs or, fighting or alcohol or parties or anything like that. But I had my own kind of like stepping into what I would like to do and not necessarily what Christ would want me to do. And around 15, 16, I had a friend, a dear close friend of mine, die in a four-wheeling accident. And that kind of hit me, just the fact that you're not guaranteed your tomorrows, you're not guaranteed this and that. And he was a believer, so I know I'll see him again one day. But that really hit me, going to camp and doing the youth group and being involved in all these different things, and then having times of, well, you know what, I kind of want to be able to do my own thing. And having that hit me in a way that brought me around to, I need to take this more seriously. And sadly, that did not last for a huge long time, because then my senior year, I really wanted to kind of do my own thing. I wanted to go to a local state college for auto mechanics, and I had a girlfriend that I got into a relationship with, and I was, doing kind of my own thing. And I thought, what, other people see me as, this wise young guy, godly kid, or whatever. But I really, I wasn't. I was choosing what I wanted, and again, I wasn't in partying, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing drugs, I wasn't doing all these things. But I could tell that my own heart was not full in for the Lord. It wasn't, doing devos to be able to get the word into my heart. It was doing devos maybe for a requirement, or memorizing verses for a requirement. And that year, I kind of. Slowly kind of pulled away from God a little bit, and I'm so thankful my mom held me to my 6th grade decision to go to Word of Life Bible Institute for my freshman year of college. My mom said, "You've got all of this scholarship, you've done all this work, you have to go, you're required." So I went, and early on in that time, I ended up having a horrible time in the relationship. She was unfaithful and just caused heartbreak in me, and God really took that away from me, so that while I was at Word of Life, I had nothing to focus on other than learning and growing in the Word, interacting with other believers, and all that brings about. And I was still thinking of going for auto mechanics afterwards, until I got to summer ministry at Word of Life. And so I was a camp counselor at the Ridge and the Ranch, and I was with the younger kids, and God really impressed on me there just how important it is to share your faith, but then also just the passion that I have to share and teach with the next generation. Whether, now it's a little different, because those young kids that I was interacting with, even during the school year at snow camp, some of them were 19. Now that was in 2013, 2014. So now coming away, if they were that 19, 18 area for snow camp, now they're gunning down the barrel of 30, just like me. So it's amazing. But I wanted to share my faith and share the reason why we believe things and why we do things, and not just to be attending and sitting in seats, but to really give our all to Christ and to reach the world and to grow and to all of that. So I got that passion from the Lord that summer, interacting with kids and being able to share some things that I learned at college that year in the Word, and being able to help them grow. It was awesome. Now, don't get me wrong. There were a couple of kids that definitely challenged me and grew me in my faith. I remember this one little kid. Oh, I will forever remember him. I remember a lot of them, but this kid, he was staying for multiple weeks. So on the weekend, they would take the kids out to a fun kind of theme park. And well, during the weekend, he sprained his ankle really bad. And so coming into this next week that I had him, he was limping around. He was on crutches, and I was actually carrying him a lot around campus. And Tuesday, wouldn't you know, pillow fight night, he gets hit by a pillow, he trips over a branch or like a root, and he breaks his arm, goes to the hospital. He comes back like the next day, and amazing. This kid turns to me, he goes, because he's limping around, he's now got a broken arm and a cast, and he looks at me, he says, "I'll be fine, because I know that God works all things together for the good. So whatever it is, why I'm hurting, there's a reason for it, and I'm going to grow for it." And things like that really put into my heart, to reach more kids and to be in ministry. And so then from there, I went and I checked out at that time Davis College and in Binghamton, and then I went and checked out at that time Baptist Bible College, which is now CSU, Clark Summit University in Pennsylvania. and Clark Summit University said, "Hey, we'll get you through. You can be on a part of the baseball team, and you can actually dual enroll and get your master's in divinity at the same time as your undergraduate, and you'll go straight through, and it'll be easy." So, well, I'll be prepared for ministry. I won't ever have to, I won't have to come back to school after being at ministry. I'll be prepared for whatever God would have me to do. So I said, sign me up. So I went, and I didn't play baseball. Oddly enough, I got recruited to cross country. Weird. I'm a heavier set guy. I like lifting weights in the gym, and that was not it. Thought that I had. But God used that time at the school to continue to grow me in my academic life and in the theology and in the original language and in meeting other people and being able to help them. I was able to then go to one of the Christian camps that I attended as a kid, and I was able to counsel there. That's actually where I first, laid eyes on the girl that then became my wife now. And I was able to be used by God through the camp ministry, through being a resident assistant and part of student leadership council, and then working in a kitchen and sharing my faith with those that were non-believers, and be able to, maybe not get them to go through the sinner's prayer, but to over years and years build relationships and friendships with them that God can use. So that was great. And then I was able to interact with younger students and be able to help them. I was able to help out with a Bible study right nearby at a secular college, and that was interesting. Then God threw me into internship as a youth pastor. And looking into internship, I was supposed to have a internship lined up, and about like a month or two before, maybe 3 months before I would be leaving, I had nothing. It was a black hole. I didn't know what my future would look like. I didn't have an internship. I didn't have a car. I had a bit of money to myself, and I said to the Lord, I said, okay, so if I don't get an internship this year, I'll just stay here. And I had picked up, started a Master's of Arts in Counseling, and I was like, I'll turn that into a Master's of Science in Counseling and continue on and get a higher degree in that. Well, the Lord took that faith, that step in faith with him, and said, okay, well, here's this. So I ended up at this church that I'm currently at in Rochester, New York, and I was, in the matter of a couple of weeks, I got my first car, I got my first apartment, I got my first job outside of grad school in ministry for the first time, and went right into VBS actually really soon after. And then I went into a summer camp that I planned for the teens at the church, and I partially tore my right calf muscle, and all of this happening just really quickly. And it's just amazing how God stepped in and continued to use me. I look back over the past 4 years, and there are times of elation over growth and numbers and excitement and kids and all of this and church doing well, and then there's some real lows in ministry and feeling defeated, feeling down, but God through it all has carried me through. He's been faithful 100% of the time. And as I'm willing to give up, kind of take my life and what I want to do and the plans and everything, instead of holding it tight, as I open up my hands and I give that opportunity to the Lord, He has changed me. He has grown me. He has used me greatly. And so that would be one of my biggest takeaways from testimony is, God can use you. God can do amazing things. And one of the greatest examples in this testimony is when you're thinking about your testimony. How should you share it? What should you do? Well, there's a few big points that you should hit. And if you're keen, you've noticed that I missed one big one. So in December of 2000, I heard a message from the senior pastor at my home church, and he was talking about heaven, hell, and the eternal punishment and being separated from God. And at 5 years of age, I remember that was a serious thing for me. And so I went and I talked to the senior pastor afterwards. And shortly afterwards, I was talking to my mom at one of the times I had a nap time. And my mom led me through the sinner's prayer. I just remember just being overjoyed at the fact that I would be, I was in right relationship with God and I would be with Him for eternity. It just was amazing. And so at 5, I gave my life to Christ. I repented of my sins and trusted in Him. Then a little bit later on, I believe between 10 and 13, I took the step of believer's baptism, growing up in a Baptist church, total immersion. And that was amazing, and it was a good step. Throughout my high school years going to camp, I had rededication ceremonies, throwing the stick in the fire, all of that. And again, I kind of, would get on fire, and then I would lessen up. Since then, I've had some more times of rededicating and coming back to the Lord, and it's a daily process of dedicating yourself to the working of the Lord and what He would do in you. But so if you want to know the key points, well, key point one is life before Christ. If you have a life before Christ that's measurable, and then you would hit what brought you to Christ, how that transacted, what hit you, what changed, what popped out to you that you said, I need Christ, and then you describe your salvation experience, and then after that is looking forward into the sanctification work, God working through you, growing you. John 3:30, I must decrease, He must increase. How is God pulled you out and then continue to work on you? Ephesians, the masterpiece that He has for you, or that you are His masterpiece, you are His workmanship. He is faithful and just to finish the good work that He has started in you. So in your testimony, as you share it, you can be personal. You can share personal bits that might be able to relate to the person. You might share some sin struggles if someone is really dealing with it, and you might want to encourage them that they can overcome it. But mainly, it's before Christ, the cross, what brought you faith, the instance, and then afterwards. After Christ, what does my life look like? So I hope that this has been both entertaining for you, but then also educational, that you're able to hear and kind of grow in the fact that you hear my testimony. Hopefully this helps the channel and viewers and people that want to know a little bit more about Rob, and I'll probably do more videos later on about my life and ongoing and different ministries and growth and all of that. But I wanted to give a little bit of myself, but then also try to make it a little more informational, so that instead of just saying your testimony is powerful and making a quick little video, allowing you to see what a testimony looks like, pointing out different main factors in it, and allowing you then maybe work through your testimony. Maybe you need to write it out. And you take the main points and page or two. Maybe you write it on your phone. Maybe you do other things. Maybe you make a quick video like this and you upload it, or maybe you make it private. You don't have to make anything public. What the biggest thing is to reflect on what Christ has done in your life, where you were, where He met you, where He has taken you, and where He's going to take you next. So work through that, and I hope that this video encourages you. I hope that it grows you. I hope that God can use it immensely. And I pray that you have a great day.